welcome. Yeah, the regular thing, me trying to get the link. Is it bad now? How is the noise? Okay, it sounds alright. I think. There we go. Okay, it has gone out and we are live. So if it gets bad, tell me about it in the chat, which I will be having up, of course. Yeah, other than that, Imola, a fun track. It needs a lot of skill. It's an old track. It's pretty narrow, hard to pass. Yeah, and if it's rain, it's gonna be fun. And also, Nat, doing your last race. It's gonna be sad. But don't make a mistake, so I I don't have to mention it. But yeah, we'll get underway with Q1 in just a moment. Also, Nats, if you crash, yeah, I'm not gonna be lenient on you. So yeah, when you watch this back, just know that I warned you. So here we go. Track map on, lap data on, telemetry off as usual, detail, give us the tires. And we have a Mercedes, and that's Liam. Liam is going to be our first car on track. And this is Ferrari's home track, so Jonesy, who has not been feeling well, has turned up for Ferrari on their home turf, which will of course be nice. So yeah, a very technical track. and with a few overtaking spots. I do hope that they can prove me wrong in that though and make moves fairly, of course. A very tricky chicane to get right, but if you do, then you can gain a lot of time on the other cars. So Liam through the final corner, now towards the line to begin their hot lap. Here we go. And almost everyone is out right now. And through the first chicane, through the second chicane, looked very neat. We have to be very accurate through them, which is so important, because if you miss one, you're gonna miss the next couple of corners as well. You lose a lot of time. Liam so far looking like a clean lap. Could have maybe attacked the chicane a bit more, but just want to put down a safe lap. Get through to Q2 and see what they can do from there. But Liam setting a benchmark of 1:15.3. Let's see where that will end up. David Barry with a 1:16.3 and Ironcon 1:17.1. So the times are starting. Jonesy coming through. Invalidated. Barbarian P4. Clefby. Isaac. He's trying to get to the second to right. That's from the right. Ozan comes over the line P9. Everyone decided to come at the same time. Very sorry for not being able. We'll show you Dan, who's coming towards the final couple of turns right now. And Dan goes provisional pole 1:15.3 as well, with Liam. Pinnacle has invalidated Jonesy on the second lap, as Nat went P3. Very good from Nat. So for that, Jonesy now coming towards the line to put down a respectable 17.2, which is P12. I think we will see Jonesy out again. And is that rain? That is rain, I see. And that makes it very interesting, because you basically don't have any time at all. Because now the track is gonna become very slippery in just a matter of a minute. And there's still 12 minutes to go, and basically everyone has a dry time. Everyone will have a dry time. Pitaku goes P14, 17.7. Owen Wilson comes towards the line 1:15.8, goes P6. And Mafuta hasn't come out yet. Usuri has invalidated and is really gonna struggle if they for the next lap. It's starting to look very slippery already. And obviously the times for the tires will just drop. Oh, and maybe got a 2-lap invalidation for that one and goes into the pits, and I think this is going to be the standings. So yeah, to summarize what happened when there was like 15 cars coming over the line at the same time. Dan has provisional pole, Liam just behind. Nat Packers is P3 in their final race. The Red Bulls are 4 and 5 with Pi and Zach. Owen is P6. David Barry is P7. Stooge P8. Sharpie P9. Aaron Con P10. Kleppy and Panda P11 and 12. Jonesy P13. Barbarian P14. Piraku P15. Currently the last one to advance. Ozan, Uzuri and Mafuta are currently out of qualifying. And yeah, you can see the sheen, which indicates that you definitely aren't gonna improve. It's gonna be too slippery, and you can see Zach slipping through there, and the DRS gets disabled, which indicates that Inters is the tire to go on, but you aren't gonna be able to improve. Even a 17.7 is pretty quick. I think the lap times on Inters 120, 119. Maybe some of the drivers can let me know. I haven't actually done qualifying in the Inters. I've only done a wet race here. So yeah, but I think that would be the ballpark, 119, 120s, possibly even slower for Inters, depending on what setup they have. If it's a dry race, then they obviously don't have setup anyways. Yeah, you can see Zach putting down a 127 on dry tires. So my time is probably off, because that is probably a couple of seconds slower, so 125. We'll go on board with Ozan and Uzuri to see what kind of lap times they're setting. But yeah, maybe the race is gonna be wet, and in which case this is good practice to get into the race. So yeah, Uzuri on a hot lap now on the intermediates. I seriously doubt Uzuri can. No, 3 seconds behind. So yeah, Inters is probably even slower than I thought. Depending on where Uzuri made their mistake, as well, Uzuri is likely a quicker driver than a 127 around Imola. I don't know them, but I will assume. But yeah, losing 3 seconds. Oh, and invalidates. So we'll hop on board with Ozan, who's 4 seconds behind. They're 117. But yeah, Uzuri just missing the braking points. Probably broke around where they breaking the dries, and it just didn't stop. And the ozone, yeah, I was way off. Just running wide and setting a 1:36. So yeah, my guess was correct that you weren't gonna beat it. My timing incorrect. 15 seconds there about that. Ozan takes a trip through the gravel. I'm going board with Jonesy. And the Ferrari has gone through to Q2. Obviously, if Q2 is wet, then it's going to be interesting as well, as these drivers now get some free practice, though they are wasting a tire. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Jonesy coming towards the final. And Aaron has left the session. And Jonesy putting down at 25.666, so we're getting something for the Nat on the inters. Gotta keep an eye out if Iron can't get back in. Nat is behind by 6 seconds, which is currently at 1:21, and probably gonna lose about 3 seconds again, which will put it at 1:25. Ooh, almost runs wide. Yeah, 1:25. Would you look at that? Let's see if I can invite Iron Con. There we go, I'm back. And Archon is back, which is good to see. And that invalidates the second lap. Let's see what Dan can do. 6 seconds behind as well, which will probably make it at 24.7 for Dan, if my guesstimate is right. And goes into the pit, so we will never know. Pi has invalidated. Zach is coming around. Ooh. That's my microphone disconnected for a second. Sorry about that. Zach almost exactly 6 seconds behind into here. 15-7. Arancon still having issues. Hopefully can get back before Q2, as they will make it in with just a minute left. Zach doing a 24-2, so looks like times are dropping, or maybe they're just quicker drivers. Liam is in the pits. David Barry coming around in the McLaren. But yeah, I don't know how much info we should take, if it's gonna be wet in Q2. Obviously, if it was realistic, I would know, because the weather wouldn't change that dramatically between Q1 and Q2. But yeah, it's Codemasters. So yeah, as soon as Q2 loads up, we will see. David Barry, you can see the dry line is there, and David Barry decides to go into the pits. Street Pitaku as invalidated. Commons, who unfortunately joined late and never really had a chance, will start from P18 unless they can find 2 seconds, which they should be able to find, and invalidate, and probably invalidated 2 laps from that. Yeah, so that means Icons is done and qualifying is over. So just have Pi and Owen Wilson on laps currently. Oh, and Pi goes straight through the chicane. Wilson looked solid through the chicane there. Very easy to, when you attack it, either cut it too much and invalidate, or if you're unlucky, cut it just enough to get thrown, which is never fun. Owen coming through with a 1:23.4. So yeah, as soon as Pi and I'm gonna send a new invite. And there we go. Q1 was a 1-lap affair. Dan just ahead of Liam. Napackers goes through Pi, Zach, Owen, David Berry, Stooge, Sharpie, Arancon, Kleppy, Panda, Jonesy, Barbarian, and Pitaku. Ozen 900th away from making it. Uzuri a bit further behind, probably didn't get a clean lap in and had to do it on a weather track. And Icommons joined late, had to do it on inters, never really had a chance. And Mafura in last. I think they had a qualifying ban, if I'm not mistaken, maybe. So I get a message on PlayStation. So yeah, we're taking a quick break and then we will be back with qualifying 2. So yeah, there we have it. It is rain in Q2, which makes sense because the people were so yeah, now the drivers are gonna be peeling out, and the Haas of Kleppy is the first one out. And it's pretty heavy rain right now, so I think it's gonna be a one-lap affair again, but this time it's gonna be from inters to wet. And we have about 10 cars out right now. The rest of the cars are still in the pits, so that's an interesting one. One more joining. I think that might be Aroncon. Yeah, Aroncon on an outlap as well. And now the Alpha of Dan on the move as well. And I'm just saying it right now, I won't be able to stick with everyone, so I'm gonna jump from Kleppy all the way down to Street Pitaku. Oh no, I won't be joining Kleppy around. I will be joining David Barry around because Kleppy hit the wall, and that is not the smartest thing to do. Losing traction out of the final corner, spinning around, it's easy to do. Yeah, it's not great, and losing your front wing as well isn't fantastic. Currently David Barry is the first one on track, so we will be following David Barry. So far I haven't seen any noticeable mistakes. Now down to Acqua Minerale. I think everyone's favorite turn from this track, just because it is so different. And looking at the map, I can see that David Barry has been faster than Jonesy. Yeah, just well through the final couple of corners, so David Barry goes provisional pole ahead of Jonesy, Barbarian P3. Owen J. Wilson goes provisional pole right now, as we have Barbarian in P6, Panda P5. Now Street Pitaku goes P5. I am sorry, I have totally forgotten to put this on, and we can see that there are a couple of cars on the wet tires, including Dan, who has set a purple second sector. So yeah, maybe the Inters wasn't the tire to go on. I guess we're gonna see where Dan end up. And then does a 1:26.3 and goes provisional pole. So the wet is the tire currently, but with 10 minutes to go, you never know. Zach invalidated again. Ironcon is going through here right now. And obviously the Inter tires might come back later if the rain eases up, but with 10 minutes to go, it's not looking likely that the weather is up. And Ironcon goes purple in the second sector. As I think something might have happened between Liam and Owen. But Ironcon on the wets, P5, and I was gonna say the top 5 isn't wets, but I remembered Owen, Liam and David set their tires on their times on Inters. And Dan improves again, 25.9. Pi improves as well on the Inters, up into P5, putting down Ironcon. And yeah, it's a really weird time. I think, actually think both Inters and wets can work, and it is gonna be based on whoever can get their tires to work the best. Because it's not looking like Inters is very fast, but it's not looking like the wet tire people are just walking the Inters. So yeah, it's a very interesting time that we are in currently. Here in Q2. And Pi aborts. Let's get on board with Dan again, who is behind their time by quite a substantial margin and dives into the pits. Yes, Ironcon decided to go for it. Ironcon is up by half a second. That can't be right. Yeah, thought it didn't make sense. Nat coming through now on the wet tires. Where will Nat end up? P2, 26.3. And Liam coming through the first chicane on the wets now compared to Inters. We will see how much faster the wet is. Where most people deciding to go for the wets now. And yeah, improving by 2/10. So and the heavy rain. Which continues to fall. That's made the wet tires. Oh, and Liam had a moment on the exit and has a like a part spin and goes off track by just enough to get an invalidation, which is a bit unfair. Because he definitely didn't gain anything from it. Clipping out through Aqua Minerale, losing traction through the right-hander towards the left-hander, and easy to do. Now Owen Wilson proving by a lot on those wet tires. proving that. And what I said from the beginning, wet tires are the tire to be on. As Jones, he won P6 I think, which is very good. And Stooge has crashed first chicane as Owen Wilson takes provisional pole, 25.9. Stooge crashing out, didn't set a lap time, will start P15 without a doubt. So now we will go with the Alpha Tauri of Sharpie. Scuderia Alpha Tauri team. And I'm actually going to look at some standings. So we have Sharpie, who is currently at P6 in the standings after the Dutch Grand Prix, which I missed due to not feeling very well. And Scuderia Alpha Tauri is in P5, just a couple of points, 5 to be exact, behind as David Barry goes purple, so it is getting faster. Liam taking that away quickly at 25.4. Alpha Tauri on 54 points, McLaren on 59 points, so in an intense battle. And yeah, I can't remember which teams the guys who are out is striving for, but yeah, it will be interesting to see. The McLaren's always fast in qualifying, maybe just hasn't gotten it down, as we see Sharp is spinning out into the gravel trap, making that the second recorded visit for someone in that gravel trap. And there's a third one. Welcome into the shot, buddy. Panda spins and they come back onto the track in synchronization. Lovely from Sharpie and Panda. So yeah, very interesting. And Leon 25.0, the track is, it seems to be getting faster, but also as you do more and more laps, you get more and more confident, you can push the track and push the car and push the tires. And obviously they probably have fueled up for a few laps, so you will get faster and faster, but it also seems like the rain has eased off a bit, and yeah, getting lighter, which means the track will get faster and faster, and it will be a very interesting Q3. And if this continues, as we only have 1 minute 50 to go, roughly. Time really flies. And Sharpie is out of qualifying, won't have enough time. Sharpie will start P14. Now Barbarian has found a lot of time through the lap and goes P11, just outside the top 10. And obviously, with it being a wet qualifying session, it means that everyone will have a free tire choice for the race, which will be interesting. Ironcon doesn't have any luck on the intermediates, they aren't working, it's still far too wet. It was a gamble, but I would listen to the tire delta that you have in the pits, unless it was dropping really fast, I would have gone wets, as those inters just isn't working. Maybe the guys out can clear enough water, but I think That is not gonna work. Panda is continuing on, and is P10 currently and improving lap after lap. I don't call 2 seconds behind, 1:30. He's 3 seconds behind, and showing that Inters isn't. Oh, and Klippy goes through, and that means Klippy's out. Klippy broke a little bit too late. Barbarian will start P11. Ironcon will start P12. Klippy invalidated is out. Panda we will actually come back to Panda because Owen Wilson is on the lap. Can they take that P1 for Q2, which really doesn't mean anything, but it is nice to say I was the fastest one. Owen Wilson 25.2 isn't far off, but it's not enough. And now Panda, who's already through to Q3, sorry, will look to improve. And goes P10 still just behind Zach, but is out of harm's way, and Ironcon invalidating. Good measure. Yeah, just didn't have the luck on their side. The wet tires were still pretty superior in the end, but it's a good try, as iCommons has left. It's not looking good right now. So, Liam, Owen, David, Pye, Dan, Jonesy, Street Peter Koo, Nat, Zach, and Panda will be the top 10, shooting for pole position. Barbarian, Ironcon, and Klippy P11, 12, and 13. Sharpie just not getting a lap time through after spinning and invalidating, and Stooge crashing before setting a lap time. Is P14 and P15. We'll take a minor break and we'll be back for Q3. And here we are, Q3, and would you look at that, it is looking I was gonna say a swear word, but I'm not going to. It's looking a lot drier than it did for Q2. The heavy rain went over the track in the small gap we had, so we now have the intermediates back on, and this is the weather Ironcon was hoping for Q2. There in the end, but it just didn't happen. So here we are, Q3, starting hot laps, Liam, and we will see. It's 10 minutes to go, and the rain is looking very light at the moment. So maybe in the end we will see a couple of drivers trying the dry tires. Jesus Christ, English is hard sometimes, especially when it's not your maiden language. Liam so far hasn't made a mistake, as usual. Looked a little more through there, but maybe don't wanna touch that curb on the wet. And Pi has crashed through turn 2, probably in the same gravel trap as we've caught a couple of drivers. Which means Pi will most likely end P10 in qualifying. And that is one big disappointment for the Red Bull driver, who is in a big title fight with Mercedes. Liam putting down a 23-2 for Mercedes, and Zach P3, but Owen P4, and Street and Dan coming just behind us. Jonesy goes P4, Street is now P4, and Dan P3, which puts Peter to P5. Nat has invalidated, but goes on to make another lap. Panda trying for Haas, who is in a fight for P8 currently with Aston Martin and Williams. So it will be very interesting to see. Panda goes P6. 24-8. So we'll go on board with the McLaren drivers, who are the only ones who hasn't set a lap time yet. Obviously I'm going back into the pits, and the rain has almost stopped now. David Berg going P3. Nats is coming towards the chicane now. Oh, very aggressive and almost gets turned. Probably lost a little bit of time through that. Decides not to finish. I can see why. Was quite behind on the lap. And Piraku has retired. Has crashed as well. It was a little too late, but it's looking like losing it through turn 3. 1, 2, 3, yeah. And just ending up in the wall, so through here, and then ending up in the left side wall, which is not what you want. We can see the rain is getting lighter and lighter, but with 5 minutes to go, still no dry tires. I wonder what the weather is as well for the race. I wonder what setups they have on, if it's a mixture of dry and wet. To try to quick here and decent in the race as well. Pala goes wide, but doesn't invalidate. But yeah, they'll probably, if it's a dry race, they have gone with their dry setups. Maybe just doing one higher on the ride height or something like that to eliminate grounding out and aquaplaning. Hey, yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, David Barry coming into the pits, so we'll get on board with Liam going towards first split, and it's slightly behind a 0.034, so 34 hundredths behind. But has found time in sector 2, and if nothing else, this will be pole position. I'm coming through the final turns, and then this left kink and crosses the line and does go quicker. 22.8 is the time to beat for Owen, Dan, and everyone else. Zach is currently just starting their hot lap, and now hopefully that McLaren gets out of the way. Let's see into sector 2 how much time there is. So there's a yellow flag. Oh, and Zach invalidates. And Jones is just starting, so we'll go on board with Owen, who's going to find 1/10. Has managed to stay exactly the same through the sectors, which is kind of cool. Well, Liam improving again, 1:22.5. Which is very impressive. And then spinning for good measure. Owen doesn't improve. Now let's see where Dan ends up. Oh, and Dan invalidates. And Jonesy has invalidated. Panda is head of net. So Panda needs to find about half a second to get to the next car. Has found that. Zach retiring in the pits. Liam has retired. And that looks like a retirement on track. Don't know the rules, but I'm fairly certain that is a retirement on track, and if there is something in the rules, that's a naughty. And Panda does find that time and goes P6, 23.911. And that goes P7 and does have time for one more lap. Panda retires as well. Oh, and Nat has a moment as well. And yeah, there we go. Almost the exact same place as I think it was Pi who retired there, or if it was someone else in Q2. Yes, such an easy place to retire. Let's end up. The checkered flag has fallen, and I'll keep my eyes on where Jonesy is. Jonesy is crossing the line. Goes into the pits. So 1 to 2. Dan coming towards the line. Finds time, but doesn't move up. Will be P3 at best. Nat with Owen right behind. Have they found any time? Nat dives into the pit. Owen crosses the line, improves slightly, but it's not enough. Liam has gotten pole again. Very nice job. So, Q3 results. Liam on pole, just ahead of Owen, who has impressed a lot so far. Dan P3, ahead of David Berry. Street P5. Panda ahead of Nat. Jonesy, Zach, and Pi rounding out the Q3 grid. And now I'm gonna take a short break and I'll be back for the race start. So now we have the countdown starting, and my mic isn't recording. Hello? Yeah, it is. Okay, it just isn't showing. But yeah, it's looking dry, which is fun, but it's looking very cloudy. But here we are, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, it's 5 lights. The lights are out and away we go for Imola, and it looks like there has been a good start from Owen. Owen side by side with the Mercedes, but Liam keeping it cool. We can see in the background a lot of drivers, and there's Haas around, but Liam keeping it. And our Barbarian is wide. Oh, and it's flying bits of cars. There's cars inside each other. Mafuta and icons inside of each other. Icons who left before, maybe hasn't joined then. But Nat in P8 following the house of Panda, can't get it done into the chicane as we see. The Alpine of Stooge. No. Ozan, very close to Jonesy, and Barbarian very close as well, and Barbarian has had a mighty exit compared to Ozan, and now goes to outside, inside, inside, and it's a yellow flag. Jonesy has retired, and was that into the pits? And Pi has at least gone into the pits. And Jonesy retires. Mafuta's still inside of iCommons. Yeah, don't know what's going on there. The Street Pilaku is hunting David Barry, and I am gonna get the tires out. It's a very mixed, very mixed set of tires. Roughly half and half. 4, 5, 8 to 10 8 mediums, 10 softs, compounds. Very interesting to see. Also have the DRS get enabled, which will help Street next lap. Obviously only one DRS zone on this whole lap, which minimizes the overtaking spot. iCommons now behind Mafuda. And yeah, both Mafuda and iCommons not here currently, so yeah, basically overtaking. And we're gonna ignore those for now. But Owen and Liam creating a big gap to Dan. But Owen keeping up with Liam, which is very impressive. Pilaku closing in on David Barry. It's very distracting having iCommons and Mafuda overtaking each other constantly. But David Barry makes a move on Dan, which I did not expect. Oh, and that's a very interesting move. David Barry, and now Dan is under pressure from Nat and Zach. But he can't get it done. And Pi sets the fastest lap of the race, the only one with really clean air. Into Aquaminale, Zach looks to have had a much better time through there than Dan. The street, or the straight, sorry, to the chicane isn't long enough to set up a move. And also, you kind of don't want to make a move through there. And now Zach, very close to Dan, using a lot of ERS. Pi gets a 3-second time penalty. And Zach is ahead through the first chicane, but now Dan has a look. Tries to switch back, but isn't close enough. Goes for it here though. Absolutely sends it. Is side by side. Zach gets a better exit and keeps the position for now. And Nat is looking at this action with some popcorn and hoping to get involved. The best thing would be if they can get straight past and latch on to Street and David, who's also fighting. Aren't close enough. Oh, and Nat runs wide and has lost a lot of time through there, and Liam has gone into the pits. Liam has gone into the pits already. The Street gets past. Dan is side by side. Oh, and they touch. They touch. Dan and Zach went side by side through turn 1 and turn 2, and it didn't work out. It's one of those where the nature of the track will take you basically into each other, and it's very unfortunate that it had to happen. Yeah. So now Nat has one less driver to overtake at least. Zach is right on the back of Sharpie. Will try to make a move. Oh, looking loose through Minerale as well. I was about to go down to Icon Mafuda, but I'm ignoring that fight for now. And Sharpie also close on Panda. Panda, who doesn't have any DRS as well. And now the question is, there isn't a question. Sharpie is ahead, or rather the question was answered. Sharpie goes ahead of Panda, and Zach is stuck behind. And obviously if Sharpie and Panda were teammates, they could continuously swap positions like that, as Uzuri gets a 3-second time penalty, which is not what they needed. Uzuri and Pi in 17th and 18th currently have them. Oh, and Zach almost looks like they hit Panda off track. Obviously Minerale is so strange, so different for different people to take. So now Zach and Panda didn't get DRS, and that makes the job a lot easier for Zach. Goes for the outside, pushes Panda all the way to the inside, and is passed. And now through the quick chicane, and now into the hairpin. Is Panda close enough? No. Panda couldn't make a move there. So we will take a look on Street. I was about to say Street View, who is hunting David Barry, and we can see Nat, who is caught by Dan, has joined the party, which is a lot of fun. So Street Street, who got DRS on David Barry, can't make it work and gets a penalty. Which makes it 4. And I think we're gonna see a couple of more penalties. As this track is, it's very easy to run just a little wide. Just like Austria, it's not very fun. But yeah, Zach got by Panda, but then and they run very wide here. Taking too much speed into the chicane. But yeah, Zach got by Panda, but then just dropped back from Sharpie. Hasn't been able to catch. And now Nat and Street having DRS help Street keep ahead of Nat there. When Nat looked to have touched one of the other curbs and got a bit loose and dropped it back a bit, as Liam gets ahead of Iron Con down in P13. Street still very close to David Barry, but I think Street closes up under the lap, but then David Barry just gets enough ahead through sector 3. We'll take a look here. David Barry. We have a bit of a better exit, but didn't get enough, and gets passed by Street Pirku quite easily on the main straight, as Ozan has gone into the pits, the first of the soft runners to go there, and drops way down. And we have a spinner, that is Stooch? No, it is Barbarian who has spun, coming back onto the track in P12. And we'll take a look at David Barry. And they are actually side by side into the chicane, and David Barry gets ahead. One might have picked up a warning there, and we have a very good battle between the McLaren drivers and the Alfa Romeos, as Dan has also joined after all this battling. There is a yellow flag in sector 3 as well, which I don't know, and we have Nat in the pits, so Nat won't be able to back David Barry up as David Barry gets passed by Street. And now David Barry is trying to pressure Street. But obviously tight track, very tough to pass on, and Dan just doesn't quite have the pace today. So we have Iron Con and Barbarian fighting for P9. One on the softs, one on the mediums, and Iron Con has to let it go for now. So we'll jump back up to P3, where David Barry stays behind. Obviously that's the DRS detection point. Iron Kong gets a 3 second, and Liam has crashed and DNF'd. And Street dives into pits, but there's no safety car. Obviously, if there was a safety car, it would have looked super smart. And now there's a yellow flag in sector 3. Might get a safety car from multiple cars. No. And they get going again. Couldn't quite see who it was. But more and more drivers going into the pits. And Zach has put on the hard tires. Zach is done in the pits. I think the medium runners have to have to pit again. Yeah, Dan isn't quite close enough. But Street has been undercut by Nat. Nat is ahead. But we'll have a battle for what is net P2. As Zach gets ahead of Ozan as well. Into turn 4 and 5. And Street got a lot better exit through Aqua Minerale, but yeah, just can't. You can't get it done into the chicane there. And now Nat is going to be under a lot of pressure. Because Street will have DRS and Slipstream and ERS. And it's closing and closing and closing. But doesn't get close enough. And Pi has gone into the pits. And Usuri picks up another time penalty. Usuri not having the greatest of days. But it is a tough track, so can't hold that against them. We have Dan within DRS distance coming out to the straight, and now can Dan? No, doesn't have the straight line speed, so we'll go back, and Nat has gotten into the DRS of Stooge, which will help Nat keep ahead of Street for another lap. And Nat can possibly even use Stooge now as a shield if Stooge manages to keep within Nat's DRS. As we have a yellow flag, looks to be a William, so probably Usuri having a moment. And Street is now right on the back of Stooge. We're gonna take a look here in the action for second place. But Dan just managing to keep within the DRS, not much more. So yeah, Dan doesn't have quite a pace like he usually do, as Street is lapping some cars. And the ghosted car of Mahood and iCommons. And Street, oh, Very close to Stooge. Just got unlucky with the DRS for Stooge. And Nat is getting into the distance, and Street can see that and wants to get this move done. Stooge defending so well. Stooge gets after his second time penalty as well, which now leaves the bottom half of the grid except the AI'd cars with penalties. Can Street get ahead this time? It should be easy enough. And Dan has dropped DRS. Oh, and Stooge with a bit of a late move. Keeps the position. And Dan gets a 3-second time penalty, which makes David Barry's life a bit easier. Because if Dan were to get past, David Barry can easily stay within Dan's 3-second gap. And that, as we can see, has gotten very close to Panda. Panda, who hasn't pitted, is effectively one pit stop behind Nat. And Panda trying to do the one stop. Nat has decided to go 2-stop and gets by Panda. And just for a moment again. And now Zach gets ahead of Street because Street has gone into the pits needing a new front wing. So I wonder if Street had a collision with Stooge, who I catch going into the tire wall and adding a tire. And that is a virtual safety car. Virtual safety car. Someone can get a cheap pit stop now. Especially someone like David Barry. And they do go into the pits. David Barry goes into the pits. Will get a bit of a cheaper pit stop, depending on when it ends. And Dan as well comes into the pits. David Barry for softs. Dan for softs and a new front wing, so that might explain Dan's lack of pace, depending on when they got it. Because Dan did have a lack of pace, and Nat, ladies and gentlemen, Nat is P3 and is catching up a lot to David Barry. But Nat is on mediums, David Barry is on softs. And haven't mentioned this guy a lot, but Owen Wilson, what a race. Currently leading by 40 seconds. Can easily go into the pits and get out in front. And does so. Even though the VSC has gone, and now Street Peter Crew on the side to side with Barbarian goes around and makes it stick easily. And now Nat on the back of David Barry. Will they swap positions? I wonder, as they get out from the start finish straight, and Owen Wilson is out of the pits and into turns 1, 2 and 3. That is how much ahead Owen Wilson was. Yes. Yeah, Owen Wilson in a league of their own. Liam was in that league. As Usuri gets up into P16. And there's a car going slowly, probably letting people lap. Sorry for being a bit quiet. I was listening to the news as well, due to the Ukraine, Russia. Obviously not gonna get political on this race, but yeah, just listening to news as it is quite close to home, as I live here in Europe as well. And it's another virtual safety car, as I can't see what has happened, but there's another virtual safety car, which must be annoying for Dan, who was closing in at a rate of knots on Panda. Panda on 20 lap old mediums, up in P4. And I don't remember, did Nat start on mediums, or because if Nat has been quite screwed over by the virtual safety cars, because Nat has to pit again. If that is the case, obviously with 12 laps to go, 11 laps to go for Owen, 11 laps to go. Yeah, won't have a lot of time to make that move. Dan gets P4 after Panda finally pits, and Dan now has 3 seconds to try and catch on to the back of Nat, who is 2 seconds behind David Barry. But Nat doesn't have any penalties, which is very interesting. The top 3 and the AI drivers doesn't have any penalties. I can't see Panda. Panda doesn't have any either, so credit to Panda as well for not picking up any penalties so far. Hopefully I didn't jinx you guys. Wilson. Yeah. And that's all I can say. Yeah. Done phenomenally. You're gonna have a laugh at that. But yeah. Owen has done very well. P1, 13 seconds ahead of the car behind, David Barry, who hasn't done badly. He's just been outrun. Nat P3, and that is the podium currently. We have Pi fighting for Kleppy. I'm sorry, I have to check. Race director. No, Nat started on softs. Okay, so Nat doesn't have to pit. Nat's tires will just be very old. By closing the counter, and Owen has gotten a 3-second time penalty. Now there is only 10.9 seconds, 11 seconds separating David, Barry and Owen. So if Owen makes a mistake, they are in trouble. But Owen puts on the fastest lap of the race with a 1:16.0 just to flex on me. But now Dan will absolutely mug Nat down the straight. Yep. Easy as you like. Gives good space, but Nat doesn't have a chance. Now Nat have to stay in Dan's DRS. Otherwise, I think Dan pulls away and maybe even gets the P3. Pi side by side with the horse, and they touch. But Clippy saves it. Clippy does save it. But yeah, they touched in turn 2. Yeah, that will happen. But now the question is, I did see the time drop below 1 second. Did we do it for the DRS? No, Nat doesn't have DRS, and that, I think, is gonna be enough for Dan, who I think will easily pull away now and get that 3-second gap that Dan needs. I again almost went down to Iconos because they are 0.2 behind Mahura. And Suri just getting out of the way. Very nice job. The times have slithered out, and that is already 2 seconds behind, losing about a second a lap, which means Dan will most likely get that P3. So now strategy not working out, and medium softs was the strategy today. Zach has done well on the hards, is currently P6, and we will get the penalties out and try to do some maths. Obviously David Barry 13 seconds behind with penalties, and Usuri retires in turn 3, and that is a virtual safety car again, a third VSC, and a couple of people going into the pits. Kleppy and Zach, Pi, sorry, I just spoke in Swedish, but Pi, so Kleppy and Pi in the pits, get a bit of a free pit stop. We'll go on softs. Pi goes on mediums. Pi, why do you go on mediums with 6 laps to go? Why on earth would you go on mediums? As Nat? Nat speeds on the VSC, which is about the dumbest thing you can do. Easy to do, but yeah. And Owen has gone into the pits, and Owen is currently P3. And also, Owen has that 3-second time penalty. So right now, David Barry is in the lead, and David will hope that Dan will fight for their life when Owen gets up to them. But Owen has to pull that 3-second gap. I'm still in shock why Pi went mediums. It must have been a mistake. I don't see Pi making such a bad strategy call. It must have been the wrong tire on the MFD. And didn't have time to change it in the pits. I don't see that strategy call. Like the only other thing I can think of is Pi going into the pits thinking it's lap 17, which in that case I definitely understand the mediums, because that would be the tire you go on. But lap 27 and you go on mediums for lap 32, yeah, I don't know. Nat is down in P6 after that drive-through. Can maybe get into that 3-second gap from Zach to get P5. But with only 5 laps to go, don't see Nat getting much more. But obviously, Nat having old mediums compared to Zach's used softs, I would guess, will struggle to get into that gap. But here, Owen opens up the DRS and gets by Dan, and that is for position P2. Now Owen has to catch the 2-second gap up to David Barry, and after that have to pull up the 3-second gap in 4 laps, which is not impossible. Owen definitely has the pace, but it will be very interesting. Ozan on the soft tires. Pi still on the mediums. Just had to confirm. Yeah, it's yellow. Did Ozan get? Oh, and Ozan runs wide. Hits the gravel, and then Pi is actually closing in. But not enough. So we will get on board with the fight for the lead, where Owen Wilson is half a second back from David Barry. 1:15.8. Jesus Christ. Owen Wilson has absolutely flown through that lap. And David will fight and to prolong the fight and also make it tougher for Wilson to pull that gap. And Ozan picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's 9 seconds. So yeah, but here Pi looks for the move and decides, no, I won't go for it now. I will be behind for the DRS detection points, get DRS, and make a simple move on Barbarian, who is on the hard tires. Barbarian also has the 6 seconds, so 3 seconds more than Pi. But now Owen Wilson side by side and is ahead. Will David Barry try to send it? No. So on the penultimate lap, now Owen has to pull 3 seconds, and David Barry will absolutely send it. but also have to keep within the track limits to not find themselves picking up a 3-second penalty, because that gives the win to Wilson easily. So we are gonna stick with this battle. David Berry is now 1.5 seconds behind. Owen Wilson has pulled 1.5 seconds in half a lap. Or in more than half a lap, in one lap. Which is what they will need to pull next lap as well. Has pulled even more before the finishing line. 1.8 is the gap. So David Berry needs to keep the loss below 1.2 seconds. If Owen Wilson, rather if David wants to keep Owen from winning this race, it's at 2 seconds right now. The gap is growing, 2.3 now. 2.4 after the hairpin. I think Owen Wilson has too much of a tire advantage. 2.5. Down to Aqua Minerale, 2.6. 2.7, 2.8. To the chicane. It's 2.9. It's over 3 seconds. Owen Wilson will come through the final couple of corners and cross the line first. But have they pulled enough of a gap? 3.2. Yes. 2 attempts. Owen J. Wilson wins. And Dan comes home in P3 ahead of Sharpie, who gets P4, is not under threat. So Sharpie gets P4. Zach on the hard tires gets P5. Because Nat just couldn't, on those all mediums, just couldn't pull in enough, and Panda gets P7. Street will get P8. Iron Con gets P13. Mafuta and Icon 14 and 15. Street goes P8. Pi will get P9. And Barbarian will get the final point paying position, P10. Kleppy P11, and Ozen coming over the line to round out the Imola Dino Enzo Ferrari GP. Sharpie gets the driver of the day from the game. I will give it to Owen. Absolutely flying. But yeah, what a race. Owen winning by a slim 0.2 seconds over David Berry. Dan in P3, Sharpie P4, Zach got P5, Nat P6, Panda, Street, Pi, Barbarian, Kleppy, Ozen, Ironcon, Mafuta and iCommand, and then Uzuri, Stooge, Liam and Jonesy not finishing the race. Yeah, what a race. A very good race. Sharpie P14 to P4, definitely a shout out to Sharpie. But yeah, you can't ignore Owen having 40 seconds at one point, obviously not having pitted yet, but yeah, a very big gap. But yeah, that is it for this week. Pi made a... It wasn't too bad of a call, and the mediums looked alright, but yeah, made a strange call. But it was a fun race to watch. Obviously hard track to pass, as I've said multiple times. But yeah, URC never fails to give us a show. And yeah, I have been your host, Jesper. Check out the rest of my content. I drive for multiple series. So yeah, and I commentate as well. But yeah, I've been your host, and I hope to see you guys next week. Enjoy your nights, and